Gamers regularly forget that difficulty and inaccessibility are not mutually exclusive. So many Dark Souls fans in my comment section were complaining that Dark Souls would not be the same experience if you altered difficulty at all because it is designed to be so for storytelling purposes. Let's work backwards from that, shall we? How did the Dark Souls devs get to a place where they had a game that had equivalent challenge and accessibility for the average population? Spoiler alert, the answer is that they didn't, because people are still regularly arguing over whether that game is too easy or too hard to this day. The useful answer here is that they play tested the game with a large number of players to make sure that balance was adequate for the average person. Why is it so inconceivable to people that game devs could add one extra step by doing so with disabled playtesters and making sure that that balance of challenge and accessibility is adequate for them as well? Why is it so inconceivable to people that you can program combat options that are not real-time or mobility-based and still provide challenge for the player and maintain the artistic theme of the story? Like, truly, some of y'all have never played Fear and Hunger, and it shows. And if you want to be a stickler and demand that every game of that genre fits the hallmark of having difficult real-time combat, there are accessibility options already coded into these games by different names. Here is a gaming journalist from 2022 that is presumably able-bodied talking about the de facto easy mode options in Elden Ring that they use that were pre-built combat options. These are game mechanics that are completely optional. If a player wants to manufacture an even more difficult experience for themselves, they can avoid these things entirely and do so. What drives me nuts about these conversations is the idea that having a single toggle on and off switch for something labeled inaccessible mode would somehow destroy the entire artistic integrity of the game. Let's be so for real, no able-bodied person is going to check a quote-unquote easy mode when it is explicitly labeled as an option for disabled people. Y'all don't want to identify with that shit. These optional mechanics would not affect your experience at all. Disabled people are not ignorant enough to believe that this world is going to magically become 100% accessible for every one of us. Disability is a spectrum with a broad range of needs. My issue is that relatively simple solutions regularly get shot down by people that lack intellectual curiosity because they assume that devs don't have the capacity to meet a challenge. A challenge that we already have answers for, that we employ amongst able-bodied players and ignore for the disabled population. All disabled players are asking for is the same level of structural consideration that is intrinsically built in for able-bodied players.